It's about complexity. We cannot be reduced and put into boxes. We don't neatly fit into stages. We are individuals. We are complex, dynamical, open systems that are continually changing, operating within other complex, dynamical systems, interacting with other human complex, dynamical systems. It is almost impossible to work out how many different combinations you can make. Some of you may have heard before I've used a model based on the Rubik's Cube. And what really captured my imagination about that is it only has 54 small little faces on the 6 major faces. Yet the number of combinations you can make from that is a staggering number. The number is 43 quintillion. So things get complex really fast. There are more than 54 influences on your career development. You start adding up things like genetic inheritance, political environment, culture, parents, Marbo, the vibe. You put all of those things in, and trying to compute and calculate what all the possible outcomes can be is beyond us. And therefore, complexity begets uncertainty. We are always going to be making decisions under conditions of uncertainty. We can never be entirely sure. Of course, we can be more sure of some things, we think, than others. But we can't be ever totally sure. And this thing about past behavior predicts future behavior, that truism, well, it is true up to a point, but what people never tell you is, but that's still not a very good predictor. It's just the best of a whole bunch of bad predictors. But people jump on it because we want certainty. So we grasp these things rather than embracing the uncertainty. It means chance events are inevitable. And in the research, the increasing body of this research that we've done, as I say, people like Eva Chan have contributed significantly to this at the University of New South Wales. People around the world have done some great stuff on this. John Krumboltz most obviously has done some great stuff. Andreas Hershey at Switzerland has done some great stuff. We're increasingly seeing a body of evidence to say that chance events are not unusual, one-off, dramatic things. They are happening all the time in all of our careers. In fact, about the only thing you can be sure of is that a chance event will happen in your career. What are we doing to help people deal with chance in their careers? How do we think about chance ourselves? How do we talk about it? How do we help people with uncertainty? These are the ideas behind it. One of the misconceptions about this theory is that people think it's all about disorder. Chaos, the word, is awful. We chose that because we wanted to reflect the intellectual heritage from chaos theory, from mathematics and meteorology and evolutionary biology. That's the term they used. It doesn't mean everything's completely out of control. It's not like my waistline. There is some order in all of this. Clearly there's an order. We've all turned up to the same room at roughly the same time. The speaker's still at the front of the room most of the time. There is some order. So it would be wrong to say there isn't, but there's continual change. And one way of thinking about that idea of stability and change is, before you go out tonight, have a look at yourself in the mirror. And then tomorrow morning after the conference dinner, have a look at yourself in the mirror. No. If you look at your face over time, it's stable, but it's changed. Some of you have had the misfortune to hear me before, and you've recognized me. I'm different, but I'm the same. So that paradox, that kind of idea of continual change built in with stability, is what chaos is about. It's a theory of order. It is saying that stability and disorder are not opposites, they're composites. And in fact, ultimately, you need disorder for order. Because if you try to fix things and make them absolutely stable, it doesn't work in nature. That trying to fix things usually results in some artificiality. It's not natural. It's not how life works. It's not what reality is like. We have to go with the flow, while at the same time trying to paddle our canoe through that with some degree of self-determination, but recognizing the limits of our personal control. Again, that's not sexy. Oh, you're limited. You know, I should be up here saying, there's no limits. You can be anything you want to be. What absolute rubbish. What a nasty, nasty thing to impose on someone, to say that they can be anything they want. And the fact that they're not means obviously there's something wrong with them. Rubbish. All of us are limited, and recognizing our limitations helps us develop our strengths. It's an important point. but it's not necessarily the most sexy point that motivational speakers want to get across. But recognition of limitations, limitations of knowledge, limitations of control, limitations of talent and skill are all things which are important for us to understand. So we don't waste our lives trying to train ravens to fly underwater, but rather devote our lives to something more constructive, where we can use the talents and skills that we're being given in a productive way for the betterment of our communities and for our own personal satisfaction. Change and order. In this picture here, this is a man-made structure, the goal post. And behind it, these fluffy white things, which pilots tell me are called clouds. One is ragged and sort of messy, and the other one is supposed to be nice and square and geometric and linear. But even the goalposts, you can see here, are rusting. Even they're changing. The goalposts are moving. Change is inevitable. So what concepts are we trying to privilege? We're trying to privilege notions like change perception, opportunity awareness, things like luck readiness, flexibility, curiosity, optimism, self-efficacy, strategy, luckiness, risk and persistence. We believe these are the sorts of the language and the concepts that we need to be thinking about and developing these skills in our clients. Adaptability, we've heard a lot about adaptability. This is so important. This is a key foundational idea in the chaos theory of careers. What I call planmanship. Not developing a plan and having a goal, but teaching people how to revise a plan, devise a plan, abandon a plan, copy somebody else's plan, put a plan on ice, dust off a plan and take it out of mothballs and use it, the timing of a plan. We don't teach these things explicitly. We're too often stuck in specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-based. Banned. Okay? You need to move away from that idea. The evidence for that isn't very good either. So we need to move, I argue, towards these notions. The natural response to chaos should not be fear, it should be creativity. And again, we're hearing this. Creativity, innovation, adaptability. We're hearing this now in things like the curriculum for work studies that have been introduced in schools are now very big on these sorts of ideas. Policymakers are getting it now, which is great. They recognize that if we're going to have a flexible workforce, we need people, we need the skills like this. These are the important skills to have, not encouraging people to think in terms of stability. We need to think about slow shift and fast shift.